Hey guys, welcome back to another episode jam-packed full of awesome mods, ranging from new armors and weapons to settlement items and some awesome visual effects. All of that and more in this week's episode of Fallout 4 Mods Weekly. So yeah, welcome back to another episode of Fallout 4 Mods Weekly, the show where we take a look at some of the really cool and interesting mods that come out in the past week for Fallout 4. And this week, like I said, we have a nice variety of stuff to check out. Hope you guys enjoyed that intro, and a big shout out to JustReddz for creating an awesome Guy Fieri outfit mod. Pretty cool. It'll be linked down in the description below. But without further ado, let's go ahead and check out the actual mods that we're going to be reviewing this week, starting off with the Laser Hits mod by OCZ. This mod is going to make some changes to the way that the laser projectiles work in Fallout 4. Now, whenever a laser projectile hits an enemy, or any surface really, it's going to reflect off of the object and head off in a random direction. Now, really quick, this is not realistic, nor is it trying to be. If you were to hit anything with a laser, it would pretty much just absorb the light. It's hard to say how these big lasers would actually function in real life since I don't really have an equivalent to compare to, but if it works like a smaller laser, it's not really going to reflect like that unless it was a reflective surface. But it looks really cool in game, especially when you have an automatic laser and they start reflecting everywhere all crazy. It's a pretty cool effect, and it's pretty interesting for a nice sci-fi look if you want to add that to your game. I think OCZ put it best when they said, whenever I use a laser gun, I think it's super cool when you shoot a Mirelurk and that shit goes like pew 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 in all other directions. So yeah, that's exactly what they did. They implemented the Mirelurk effect to all of the laser weapons whenever you hit any surface or any enemy. So that's pretty neat. Again, not a super realistic mod, but it is a whole lot of fun and adds an interesting new flair anytime you use a laser weapon, especially if you pair this with something like the Reactor ENB and NACX, you get some really awesome, vibrant laser effects. So it's a lot of fun. I don't know if this is something that's going to make a permanent place in my load order, but I'm definitely going to enjoy it for a little while. Now, the next mod we're checking out is a brand new melee weapon, and that is the Wasteland Machete by Donsky62. This is going to be an awesome new Raider-style machete made out of scrap metal and wood, and is based on some of the concept art for Fallout 4, and this has a stunning resemblance to that concept art. This is a perfect scrappy alternative to a melee weapon, especially for raiders. The design of this thing is really cool and definitely fits the Fallout theme. And an awesome feature of this mod is it is added to the raider level list, so you will actually see this thing spawning in the hands of raiders, which is just perfect. This thing has a good handful of attachments over at the weapons workbench that you can mix and match together, including different types of blades like serrated options that add bleeding, or a radiation blade that will have some glowing goop that will add an extra bit of radiation damage to your weapon. And there's also some other modifications you can throw on, like your typical stun mods, and a barbed wire mod that adds a bleeding effect and also has a chance to disarm your enemy, which is a pretty helpful little melee tool. Especially with how janky the melee combat is in Fallout 4, having the ability to disarm enemies so they don't block every single attack you throw at them is pretty nice. I really like the design of this machete, being based on the Fallout 4 concept art and then adding their own little twist in some of the attachments. This is some awesome work by Donsky62. Definitely fits a lore-friendly aesthetic, and I like this thing a whole lot, and it's definitely something I'll be adding as a permanent spot in my load order. Now, the next mod we're checking out isn't actually a new mod from this week, but rather it was updated this week with a ton of new content, and that is the Desert Punks mod by DaltonTheWarlock. Fitting with the theme of the last mod, this is going to add a ton of armors specifically themed towards raiders. Now, the original version of this mod just added a handful of armors into the game, but now there are even more armors, additional helmets, and under armors, all of which are now added to the raider leveled list and will spawn alongside any other raider armor mods that you have installed, so long as they don't affect the same leveled list, making for some really cool mixes and matches of different armors for an awesome looking new set of raiders. Much better than the vanilla raiders looked, in my opinion. Now, Desert Punks does have a bit of a theme to it. It is intended for a desert style of load order, sort of a Mad Max vibe. It pairs very nicely if you're using Badlands or Desperados, but you can throw it in any load order. In my opinion, I think these outfits even work in a vanilla Fallout 4 environment, and even if you're doing something a bit more foresty, though I wouldn't recommend this if you're doing a winter-themed load order because everything is pretty much sleeveless or topless, making your raiders pretty chilly. Now, in total, there are 18 new armors, 18 new helmets, and 9 new under armors added to the Raider level list. That's a whole lot of new content and new gear that you can find on Raiders. I actually have a full breakdown of this mod showcasing every single armor in this pack, as well as a handful of other mods that pair very nicely with this mod. So if you want to check that out, I'll have that link down in the description. But if you don't want to see every single armor, just know that everything in this mod is very lore friendly in terms of aesthetic and has a very cool Mad Max look to it. All of these armors are very balanced in terms of their stats, and some of them can even be paired with other armors from the vanilla game. For example, any of the under armors and even a few of the full armor sets can be paired with over armor, like the Raider armor, metal armor, leather armor, etc. This is easily one of my favorite armor mods in recent times, and I absolutely adore this mod. This is yet another one that it does have a permanent place in my load order now. This is super awesome work by DaltonTheWarlock. The next mod we're checking out is actually a settlement mod, and it's known as the Concrete T-Wall by Oppressor. Now this is a very, very simple mod. There's not a whole lot to it, but it is still a very nice one. This is going to add a couple of new types of concrete walls that you can build at your settlement. In my opinion, in the vanilla game, excluding DLCs, there weren't a lot of good options for big, heavy-duty walls. Now there are some modded options and some DLC options that have definitely helped to fill that void, but I think these new Concrete T-Walls by Oppressor are very, very nice. This adds a nice modern military style concrete wall that is totally feasible to be put up by settlers. A couple of pulleys, they could easily have sourced these things from different military bases around the Commonwealth and brought them over to their own settlements, and they're pretty cool. These come in standard straight walls, corner walls, and even some nice little barricades that you can attach to these. Now, one thing to note is that these do only snap to themselves. You cannot snap these to any of the other objects in the base game. At the very least, I couldn't get them to snap to any of the different bases around, but that's not a big deal. If you're using something like Place Anywhere, you can pretty much manipulate these however you want to. At the very least, they do snap to each other, so you can have some nice straight concrete walls to help defend your settlement. Pairing this with something like the sandbag fortification walls allows you to make some really cool militaristic settlement designs, so I think these are a must-have for anybody trying to accomplish anything like that. Now the next mod we're checking out is a brand new weapon mod known as the BH-STG-44 by Broodahood. This is going to add a perfect recreation of the STG-44 assault rifle from World War II back into Fallout 4. And this thing is incredible. First of all, it has beautiful models and textures, a ton of customization over at the weapons workbench, and a full suite of awesome custom animations. Not only the reloads, but the melee, sprinting, grenade throwing, and even third-person animations, which is pretty rare, but definitely very nice to see in this mod. Additionally, there's a ton of add-ons for this mod to add even more functionalities to it, like the side aim framework, which will allow you to use canted sights, tactical reload support, and leveled-less integration that will make this thing start spawning in the world after level 20. I really enjoy the attachments available for this weapon, especially some of the more scrappy ones like having the wrapped foregrip and the really cool custom bayonet animations. This makes for an awesome retro weapon to add to your level list, so if you're a fan of World War II, this is definitely one I'd recommend checking out. If you want to see all of the details on this mod, including its stats and a damage breakdown, I'll have a link to a full review of this thing down in the description below. And finally, that brings us to the last mod of the week, which is a brand new Institute weapon known as the Institute EM Rifle by Micalov. This is going to add an awesome new Institute Gauss Rifle into Fallout 4. This thing is a perfect late game alternative to the vanilla Gauss Rifle using 2mm electronic charge packs, and this thing is awesome. Unlike the vanilla Gauss Rifle, this thing has full auto capabilities and is magazine fed and has some really cool designs to it. There's also some awesome attachments over at the weapons workbench that you can pick up, and this thing is added to the Institute leveled list, so you will see this thing start spawning out in the world on synths. Now by default, this thing does use the Nuka World AK animation, so you will need the Nuka World DLC in order for this weapon to work. But as of now, there's even a version of this mod that is compatible with the right-handed Nuka World AK animations, which is really cool to see. When I did the full breakdown of this mod, which is also linked down in the description, there were not any right-handed meshes, but now there are, which is a really awesome update to this mod, and definitely helps for those of you who are using those right-handed Nuka World animations. This is definitely a really cool take on a ballistic weapon for the Institute, and something I really like seeing in my game. Micalov has been absolutely killing it with Institute weapons, and I look forward to see what kind of big stuff they have planned in the future for the Institute. We already have a ton already, and there's even more coming out every day, so stay tuned. I'm sure we'll have something big to show off pretty soon. But I think that's pretty much it. If you want to check out any of these mods, they will all be linked down in the description below, along with Xbox links and any other applicable media. Hope you guys enjoyed the mods, and I hope you found at least one to throw in your load order. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a rating, it really helps out the channel, and consider subscribing if you haven't already for more videos just like this. Big shout out to all of my patrons for supporting every single video, and a very special thank you to all of my Tier 3 Patreons, including my newest Tier 3 patron AV4, Captain Chaos, Helljumper, Indecisive Wolf, Jackie, Noid, Cushy, Logan Rigmaiden, Mikerhan, Moonlit Gamer, Feed, Timmy76, YouthRC, and Voider. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. If you'd like to support the channel over on Patreon, you can do so using the link down in the description, but it is completely optional. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace!